Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this is going to be a Raid Shadow Legends video with some big news today because we have got a Fusion champion that is officially announced from Polarium, and it is going to be starting on Monday, July 3rd. So what I'm going to do is go over the Fusion Champions kit, let you know my thoughts on where it might rank, if it's a Fusion you should consider doing, and give you some of the context surrounding this new champion that is going to be the next event champion in Raid. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so the first thing we need to know about the new legendary is going over the kit and some of the context around the abilities. The A1 is going to be a triple hitter where each hit can be booked up to a 100% chance of decreasing the turn meter by 15%, kind of allure-esque. And then we've got if the turn meter is not decreased, each hit is going to have a booked up 100% chance of placing a freeze debuff for one turn. Now, where is this good? The Fire Knight Hard is immune to turn meter decreasing effects. As you can see, if we go to the Fire Knight Hard mechanics boss right here and we scroll down, we have got this tainted immunity where it says also immune to HP exchange effects, HP balancing effects, turn meter decrease effects, and cooldown increasing effects. So because the hard version of the Fire Knight boss is immune to turn meter decreases, it means that this part of the kit where it says if the turn meter is not decreased, we're going to place a freeze debuff. And that is so good on the Fire Knight because in the hard version of the Fire Knight, that synergizes. If you don't decrease the turn meter, which you can't with the A1, now at least you're going to get a little bit of value from adding the freeze debuff in that situation. Because if we go back to Fyro's kit on the hard version, you can see here that we instantly remove the freeze debuffs placed on him, and then we get a further 15% of a turn meter decrease for each freeze that was placed. So we're going to be getting a ton of value out of that A1 on this new dwarf in the context of the Fire Knight hard situation. So I do like this A1. I think some good thought went into designing that and making it synergize properly for a needed role in the game. A lot of people are struggling to get into those new mechanics of the hard Fire Knight dungeon. So we definitely needed a champion that can address that is accessible to the community. So hopefully the Fusion isn't too crazy in terms of the requirements. Hopefully they don't go back to like the double summon rush kind of stuff. But okay, then we've got the A2, which can book up to a 3-turn cooldown. And then we've got an AoE that with a booked up 100% chance of placing the attack down and the weaken on all enemies for 2 turns. And we're also going to place a counter attack on this champion for 2 turns. And this is going to synergize nicely because we have the passive down here that will make counterattacking deal 100% damage instead of 75. Now, a lot of you may have forgotten this because we haven't talked about counterattack for a while, but counterattack does not do full damage. The normal counterattack buff is going to do 75% damage when they come in with the A1, but for this champion, we get that special passive where we're going to get that triple hitter doing 100% value on counterattack instead of 75, plus all of the turn meter and freeze that you get synergizing with the counterattack on top of that passive. So I also like this A2. I think they did a pretty good job designing that. Then we've got the A3, attack one enemy 3 times, so another triple hitter. And we've got each hit decreases the target's defense by 3%, stacking up to 30%. And each hit also heals the champion by 30% of damage dealt. So this is going to be a massive heal. It's basically going to get the champion back up to full HP. The only unfortunate thing is it books to a 4-turn cooldown, which can get a little bit rough if the champion doesn't have any sort of built-in like grant extra turn or something like that. But this champion does get a little bit of turn meter manipulation here with the counterattacking and the A1 and all of that. So it's not quite a 4-turn cooldown because he is affecting the turn meters of the enemy team. So it's like a pseudo 3.6 or something here on the cooldown. And then we also get an aura right here of ally accuracy in dungeons by 80. So for anybody out there trying to hit those accuracy thresholds in some of those dungeons, we can use this champion as a leader as well to get a boost to our accuracy. And then also another important note is on this A3, Polarium is telling us behind the scenes that it scales with defense, and get this, it's going to also scale with max HP. So really the whole kit is well designed and I think has potential. So I also like this A3. So all in all, I like where their head is at. We can't see the base stats and some of the real actual raw data of the multipliers, But so far, I'm going to give them an A in terms of design. Now, if the base stats end up being trash or the multipliers are complete trash, this could go down. I mean, like for a damage dealer or somebody that's going to be hitting and doing damage with every single ability, it's hard because it can sway a little bit depending on what the numbers end up being. It's not quite as easy to grade as a support. Like you can show me Sify's kit and I can be like, yeah, she's a good champion. But when a champion is a damage dealer, I really need to see the raw data. So this could still swing all the way between like a C plus up to like an A plus, depending on what the multipliers are. But if they are just kind of like what I think they are, I think he's going to be a very solid fusion in that A tier, and he'll have a lot of utility and be good. And he'll be really good in at least one situation for most accounts out there. And he could also have some utility in the Hydra as well with that enemy max HP ability there on the A3. And then either later today or tomorrow, I will update the Fusion and Fragment and Event Champions tier list, and we'll see where this guy ends up ranking. But I think it's going to be decently high. We've got about, I think, 48 event champions, and this guy will probably be in like that 8 to 12 tier. So definitely going to be one of the higher ranked ones, I think, if I had to kind of go off the top of my head. But we'll do a deep dive discussion on that, and I'll show you the whole tier list. So remember to subscribe down below because that'll be coming your way very soon. And also on that note, over on the community tab here of the channel, I will host a poll for all of you to voice your opinions on the new Fusion champion that's going to be starting on Monday, July 3rd. So, okay, what other stuff is going on in game today? We do have a 10x happening for Blind Seer and Knocked the Paralyzer. Both champions are solid. I don't expect this 10x to be super hype or a good idea for most accounts out there, though, because we do have the 2x Ancient Shard 10x double dip for Theodore the Savant that I may YOLO a little bit this weekend. And then we've also got a Fusion coming up starting on Monday that I think most players are going to want for their account. So probably not the best time to YOLO for niche, decent champions. But I do like both these champions, and I did a fun video recently with Knocked the Paralyzer and King Galkabar where I set up a fun PvP arena duo team, and I was having a decent amount of success and fun with that. And you can see the shard stuff in game right here with the double up summoning boost post right here in the news, where it talks about the 2x ancients that are going to be happening over the weekend, and your 10x for Theodore down here, where it says the chances of ancient shards are doubled. And then you'll have a couple days to pull your ancient shards, where if you do get a legendary, it will be 10x the chance, which ends up, I did a video on this last night here on the channel talking about what you need to know about summoning events, and you're going to be about 6% to get a Theodore based on every legendary that you get. And the fun math part of it was if you pull about 1,000 shards, you'll be about 50-50 to get Theodore. So this does change things a little bit, because I was super hyped up to go for Theodore this weekend and spend some resources to get after it. But if they come out with something crazy like a double summon rush and all of that, I may want to reevaluate. I'll probably still pull for Theodore. I may just not go quite as crazy as I was thinking about going before, seeing that we're getting a fusion that I'm definitely going to want to go for on my account. And as you saw in the news post, we also do have a Forge Pass Season 10, and it's going to be for the Righteous set that you're able to craft in the Forge. And the Righteous set is pretty solid. It's 10% speed and 40 resistance as a 2-piece set. So it's kind of like a pseudo buffed up speed set. It's not quite as good. It's 10% instead of 12%, but you do also get that 40 resistance. So, I mean, you all know the drill on the Forge Pass by now. We've had 10 seasons of it. They're all pretty much the same. They're usually a decent to good set, and they've all kind of been structured mostly exactly the same. But one thing I do want to clarify, because some new players get confused by this, you do not get the 6-piece legendary at level 50. You have to buy the premium gold version, the $20 version that you can see behind my camera. If I remove myself right there, you have to buy that $19.99 version of at least the gold pass to get the full 6-star legendary set. You can see that it's down on the bottom behind the padlock, and that's going to be your full set from so it gets kind of confusing. It says level 50 reward, full legendary set, but down below is like the fine print. You've got to get the gold pass to make that happen, and I know I've seen some people get confused by that, so it is one thing I like to clarify on a new Forge Pass. Then for the tournaments and events going on in game, I would be a little bit careful on your souls in game, because Cirilla did confirm in her interview with Scratch that they're thinking about doing some events for soul stones. So we may see 2x's and 10x's and guaranteed events for your soul stones. So I just want you to have that in the back of your mind of maybe to consider saving them up at least for a little bit before we see if that happens or we get a little bit of further clarification on that. Otherwise, something noteworthy right here is the champion chase tournament. This is kind of a pseudo countdown for when 2x ancients and the 10x for Theodore is going to begin. So tomorrow I may be having a little bit of a YOLO session. And also super noteworthy right here in the events, we've got a fusion warm-up event. Now this is going to take you about 5 to 10 dungeon runs to get your daily points, and typically you do want to do these because it's one of the better things that Plarium does in terms of realistic acquirable resources for the player base as a whole. So as long as you're active and playing the game, you should get your 90 points a day for the fusion warm-up and be able to scoop up the resources that are in here, where we get things like core hammers and an ancient shard and chicken and stuff like that with a little bit of energy to boot as well. So as long as you're doing a little bit of campaign and a little bit of dungeons and whatnot every day, you should hit your 90 points and scoop up all these resources just kind of passively as you play raid. So now let's head into the shop and see if there's anything worth talking about here. Monthly mini mix. I do want to talk about this a little bit because this is a new version of the mini mix pack, and the way they're kind of doing it is they're replacing the ancient shard with a mortal soulstone, and they kind of have a similar value in game. The price usually equalizes in the Plarium marketplace around $1 a piece for a mortal soulstone and an ancient shard. So pretty comparable, and the pack ends up grading out as like a 1.38 on the offer calculator. So it's worth considering for anybody who is kind of approaching the mid tier of spending. And if you're in the upper tier of spending, it's honestly a pretty solid offer because you get the energy, the XP, the mortal soulstone, and the refill with a chicken to boot as well for all the champion development kind of stuff. So not an amazing pack, but in the grand scheme of things with Plarium, it grades out as definitely above average. The soulstone deal, that should be a pass. This is the worst version of kind of like the 2 price points they put out for soulstones. And summer shard. Yeah, not that great in my opinion. You've got 2 different ones with sacreds. So yeah, it's gonna be mostly an average, average to slightly above average maybe shard pack, but nothing super noteworthy. Yep, okay. So yeah, head on over to the community tab and let me know your thoughts on the new Fusion Champion launching on Monday. I'll make sure to monitor how the community feels and keep you in the loop here on the channel. And I appreciate all of you. Remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content. I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace.